presented by Dano Seasoning. Yum yum, get you some.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sunbelt Syndicate, with you from the first kick to the last pitch of the baseball. We know baseball season is up and running. We know basketball season has gotten hot and heavy. We'll be doing a basketball show live tomorrow night, too, to catch you up on all the action there. But the App State week of coverage continues, as we had a baseball show focused with an App State guest earlier this week. And now we're going to have Weston on to preview the football roster, all the ups, downs, the differences, everything that has come to light since we've ended football season. Weston's, if you're not following him on Twitter, you need to, AppStateNews, or you can type in his name, right? I think that's also the tag officially.
Yeah.
I always get confused how Twitter does that. You can label yourself something, but your handle's actually different. You can search by either one and it will pop up. So AppStateNews, real nice and easy, or his name that's on the screen now. Go find him. Go follow him. We were talking before. And Weston, we'll go ahead and start it off. TJ actually doing good tonight? Ready for this?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm hanging in there. Good to be back. It seems like it's been a good little minute since we've addressed our good fans. So
yeah, man, it really has. And this one, Wes and I have been talking in the background a little bit, trying to get this going. Obviously, give him some time to put some stuff together, give me some time to put some stuff together, and just be ready to roll, because we know this is one of the most interesting teams in the conference. And Weston, before we get rolling along too far, I want you to kind of tell the people a little bit more about yourself. First of all, where are you from, how you ended up at App, and why you're doing what you're doing.
All right, yeah. Well, my name is Weston. I'm a current student at App State. It's my second year here. When I was first introduced to App State was from my history teacher, actually. He was an App State grad, and I'm from by the beach, so I never heard of the mountains. And I wanted to be a teacher or coach football, so I'm like, what's the best place for me? And it was obviously Appalachian State.
Nice.
Very nice. And
we're about on the beach.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a small town named Sneads Ferry. It's by Wilmington.
Yeah, know exactly where I used to live in Wilmington. I'm actually from a little bit south, or I guess north of that, Atlantic Beach area, Beaufort, Morehead City. My dad used to do a lot of work in Sneads Ferry, so very familiar with that area.
See, there we go. Already another connection there for you, Weston. Which position did you play when you played high school ball?
When I played high school, I was a receiver, corner, safety. The best positions.
Yeah, nice. The money makers.
So I'm guessing you are a pretty fast guy then, I would assume.
Yeah, I was the fastest guy on my team. I actually got some offers to play D3, which was cool, but I was too small, in my opinion. So I decided, hang up the cleats. I'll just watch it instead.
Gotcha.
You said though you got out there and played some flag was it at App that you played the flag football, or was that before?
Yeah, there's a physical education class you can take to play flag football and play on Kid Brewer. So nice.
Yeah, that's got to be a nice little thing, especially now that there is no track around it and it's just a bigger and more intimidating stadium. Thanks to Old Row Marshall for joining the stream. I know we've got a little history with that school, so he's excited to get back down for the App Marshall show. Now, we are excited for that one as well. I think Marshall's got a lot of intrigue now. Just a new head coach from down the road from TJ and I down there at NC State with Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be interesting. And Seth jumping on saying, TJ.
What's up, Seth?
Oh, man. Seth's up near you, Weston. He's our Boone local up there. So he's probably not quite as in tune to the program as you. And so take us to why you started this Twitter handle, this intrigue, this interest in football, and where you plan to go with it.
So when Loggins got hired and all this news is coming about players leaving, players coming in, I was really having a hard time figuring out what's going on with App State. And I see these bigger schools with a lot of social media accounts talking about them. And I decided that I wanted App State to have one. So I did my due diligence and I started researching. And eventually I started gaining a following covering App State.
Nice. Cool. You definitely have gained a following. Like I said, I think this account is going to explode further and further. It feels like a lot of people on Twitter, that have some of these good accounts, it's just a matter of time. One little thing here or there and seen by the right person, shared somewhere else, and all of a sudden you're getting followers left and right. So I can tell you that you're doing phenomenal work. I'm like, I don't know how he keeps up with it. You're his full-time student, and you seem to be full-time Twitter guy too, because it's phenomenal stuff to watch you and follow along with what you're doing as far as that is concerned. So that gets us to what we're here really to talk about today, which is the breakdown of the App State roster, brought to you by Weston right there on screen. We'll start with the coaching staff, man. What do you think about the coaching staff? What have you heard? And maybe any other tidbits that you've got on these guys?
So to start, a whole brand new coaching staff, other than Matt Greenhaw and Matt Spear. And one thing I can say about this is NFL experience. I mean, with head coach Dow Loggins being a veteran of the NFL, Clyde Christensen being mentors to Brady, Manning, many others through his nearly 4 decades of NFL experience. You got DJ Smith, player, Riley Watkins. He's brand new. But one of the players or coaches that I'm really intrigued by is our secondary coach, Curtis Fuller. I mean, he's coached the 2015 Panthers, obviously, head coach at Myers Park High School in Charlotte. It's a really good coaching staff, honestly, with a lot of experience.
Yeah, I think TJ, maybe you even know some insight there with DJ and your connection, but it seems like they're strengthening the Charlotte pipeline just by getting guys from the area and familiar with the area. And all three of us here on screen know, and probably a lot of people nationally know, just how powerful Charlotte football, especially high school area football, is. And trying to keep those guys in state is a big deal, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think for us, I think it's super positive to have somebody like DJ Smith and then a couple of these other guys that are from the Charlotte area to get some of that homegrown talent, right? A lot of times, I mean, the biggest example that I always think of is, Chris Leak, when we let him get out of Charlotte and go all the way down to Florida to be a backup quarterback at Florida. So I think for us, I think it's important that we keep that homegrown talent and we keep the guys that are in state. I think, too, what you were talking about in terms of the amount of NFL experience that's on our roster as far as coaching staff goes, that's going to bode well for these guys player development wise and also for recruiting, right? I mean, who doesn't want to be coached by former NFL talent or former NFL tutelage? So I think the hope anyway is that we build a program that's sustainable, right? That we're not a springboard for coaches to go leave and get their next gig. That's one of the things that has irritated the daylights out of me since I've left the school is, we get a lot of these coaches because we are such a good program and because, we usually don't have losing football seasons. We are a spot for coaches who aspire to be head coaches in other conferences and at bigger schools. And we kind of have been that springboard. And so my hope is that we've got a staff in place now with some sustainability. So excited about this.
Yeah. Weston, have you heard people on campus or players maybe specifically just saying how much they like somebody specifically, or have heard some rumors about how someone's coaching them up so far, even though they're not really, tried and true in its season at this point, I guess?
Yeah, I've heard that, I've heard from, especially about Jeff Crosby, our special teams coordinator. He's been really good for them. I've talked to some of the guys, and it's just been it's of course hard, losing the entire coaching staff pretty much. They are just starting to put practice in. Not too much, but I've heard a little bit. And to just say a little bit about retention, about the coaches, Loggins said in his press conference that they had to fight off some NFL teams to keep this coaching staff where it is right now.
Which is good to hear, right? I mean, if you want to fight off other colleges, that's one thing. And that's could be good too. If you've got some of the big SEC programs, Big Ten programs coming for your coaches, that's going to bode well. But the NFL, the next level, they're coming for the guys that are on your staff. That's phenomenal. I mean, almost like a problem you want to have, right? Not the first time it's happened, right? I mean, we know we lost Dorsey before he ever even coached it down for App State. But, this is a lot more of that experience now on the staff and on the sidelines there for these kids to take advantage of. And just a quick note, you said you actually got a lot of high schoolers and other people kind of reaching out and asking you how to become a part of this now, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you got high school kids that are like, I want to play for App State. I want to like, and it's kids from like Massachusetts or in Georgia, Florida. No, like it's a North Carolina kid as well. They want to play for Loggins and the staff.
And that's the kind of Listen, that's the kind of recruiting that we need. That's the kind of feedback that we want to get from not just our local community, but also people. I mean, listen, Appalachian State has been a I don't want to say worldwide, but certainly a nationwide brand now for the last, I would say, 15 to 18 years. Right? People know who we are. They know what we represent, and they know that winning football happens here. I think last year was our first losing season since 2005. Right? So, I mean, that kind of thing is something that builds your reputation, builds your brand. And so we can get these guys to come in and want to be a part of something special. We can really take this program to the next level.
Absolutely agree. Before we jump over to some of the players, TJ, another note or thoughts or what you've heard from DJ and, former players that kind of, as a conversation struck out more in the background than ever before now that he's kind of back and on staff, or where's that kind of sitting?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all excited, man. Like I'm in a group chat I'm actually in multiple group chats with some of the former players that are played at App. I mean, the feeling is excitement, right? I mean, we're excited to have DJ back, and it's personal for us, right? Because we played with this guy. We know what he represents. He understands what it's like to be on that mountain. And it's a different brand of football. It's different because, and we talked about this on one of our previous shows. When you go to Appalachian State, you are the university. Right? Like there is nothing else. There's no, you don't go, downtown to go to a bar and hang out with local crowd and that kind of, there's nothing else to get into. You are your brothers and it's a different feeling when you're in that type of atmosphere, and it takes someone coming from that atmosphere to understand and know that, and that can preach it and recruit it and understand what that looks like long term. So having DJ there, man, I'm telling you, it bodes well for the excitement. I mean, we've got right now, there's a group of us that are talking about potentially going down and seeing just the spring game. That's how excited we are. I mean, there's a group of about 15 to 20 of us just wanting to go take a trip and just go hang out and just see what's going on, just because we're excited about reconnecting with DJ and really seeing what this staff can do. And like I said, the NFL talent that we have or NFL tutelage that we have on this coaching staff, it's a lot, man. And so we're super excited about it.
I'm very excited for that spring game. Unfortunately, it's my son's birthday weekend, so I might not be able to attend. Depends on when his party is held. But Weston, I got to get your thoughts and feelings on that. This is the first spring game that I can remember since I lived on the mountain, which has been 10 plus years now. So is there a lot of excitement? Is there a lot of talk around the students that this is something that they've wanted to, that they're going to be in attendance for and everything?
A lot of students want to sell this out. I remember Loggins was at the basketball game, gave a little speech, and he spoke directly to the student section and said, "I expect you to be there." Heard the roar of the students. And there's been a lot of like student things that they're going to allow. Like students are going to be able to like race a receiver, pushing sleds with the O lineman, punt, pass, and kick competition with grand prizes and so what. But I think the one thing that I've heard a lot from Loggins and the staff is how they want to get alumni involved. I mean, like they want to get a bunch of the football alumni at the spring game. I know that.
Yeah, we've gotten emails. That's for sure. So.
And honestly, TJ, talk to that for just a second then. Like,
yeah,
have you ever gotten an email like that before?
Yeah, not for a spring game, for sure. And it's that again, listen, it's trending up. I mean, I had my doubts going. I don't, when I say doubts, I was skeptical about what this coaching staff was going to bring. And there's been, talk amongst us as players of how do we get more involved, right? What do we need to do to sort of ingratiate ourselves more with these staff, with the coaching staff that comes in, and there's not been a whole lot of talk about alumni and those kinds of things. So these are the kinds of things that we get excited about as alumni because we want to be a part of the program, right? We want to be able to donate and to give back, and even if it's just giving back our time. Right, coming and having a conversation with these new kids that come in. There's no reason why there should be a disconnect about who Armani Edwards is, right, or who Brandon Turner is, or who these guys are, Richie Williams. I mean, there's kids now that go to school that don't even know who Richie Williams is, and that's insane. That should never be the case. You should know who came before you and what is going on. And I get it. especially now with, NIL and transfer portals and those kinds of things. There's not a lot of homegrown student development or athlete development that stay, but you should know who your predecessors were.
No doubt about it. Speaking of predecessors, it's a great transition there, TJ. Thank you very much. Because we got some guys who are looking to do just that at the quarterback position. And guess what? They're all listed here because, Weston, you can talk to this too. Tell us about Logan, what he said, a true quarterback competition, right?
Yeah, all quarterbacks are in contention. There's no depth chart. Practice determines what it is. And there's been a lot of talk about who will be the starting quarterback. And we won't find that out until, the spring game, April 12th. It's really exciting for the first, I think, quarterback competition since Joey Aguilar and Ryan Berger.
Weston, what are your thoughts on, and I don't know how much you know about these guys that are coming in, some of the new guys, but what are your thoughts on if anybody right now has sort of a leg up or experience-wise? Give us some insight into what you think this quarterback competition might look like.
I think right now the one in the lead right now is A.J. Swan out of LSU and Vanderbilt. I mean, he's got the experience, and he thrived at Vanderbilt. He was like the first true freshman in the SEC to throw 4 touchdowns and no picks in a game.
Wow.
It's kind of surprising that was the first one to do that.
Especially considering Cam Newton was there.
On 2 different teams, TJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what A.J. Swan has been on, yeah.
Yeah, how about that? Sometimes it takes 2 to get it right.
His best season was at Vanderbilt. He thrived in the RPO game, and he hasn't had a lot of experience in the last year. He was back up to Garrett Nussmeier. He only had 4 pass attempts the entire year.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little opposite with J.J. Cole, though. Have you seen this guy around campus? What is he, 6'6" or something like that, I think?
6'7", 250.
6'7"?
Good God.
That's what a lot of people are saying. This guy, I have seen this guy run. I've seen his high school tape. He is a monster when he's on the move. And like Logan said in his press conference, he is athletic.
Which is crazy, yeah.
He's only had 3 appearances at Iowa State. He's a strong arm. He's not afraid of contact. He will run you over.
Yeah. Oh, and adding that kind of variation to the run game, right, from the quarterback perspective, gives us so much more of a dimension in terms of what we're able to do offensively. We've been, for the most part, sort of lacking that, right? I mean, Joey Aguilar is a decent athlete, right? And I think we had Chase Bryce before that. He was a decent athlete, but none of them have been what we've represented in the past. And obviously, I come from a time where Richie Williams and Armani Edwards were the quarterback. So my idea of an athletic quarterback, runs a 4.4 40. Not every quarterback is going to run a 4.4 40, but somebody who's athletic can get out of trouble and be a hard tackle. Those are the kinds of things that we've missed in the past.
For a quarterback to be mobile, I think the one guy on this roster that might run a 4.4 40 is Matthew Wilson out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. I mean, he was one of the third quarterback Loggins mentioned, saying he's the athlete of this quarterback room. I've heard a lot of things about him. He has a cannon. He redshirted over his freshman year, and I think he's going to be an exciting player for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those that are tuning in that aren't necessarily App State people, Rock Hill, South Carolina, not too far from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's still a hotbed. That whole area, you could just put a massive circle around Charlotte and the surrounding southern or northern part of South Carolina there. It's just all one huge hotbed for football talent. So Matthew Wilson definitely falls within that radius that I'm speaking about. Well, maybe correct me if I'm wrong here. Was Billy Wiles, obviously came in from Southern Miss. I thought he had maybe left the team at some point last year. Did that happen? Did he come back, or was he always on the roster and I'm just getting confused with somebody else for a minute?
So Billy Wiles, he was first at Clemson, then transferred Southern Miss for about 2 years, and now he was at App State last year. He was a backup.
Okay. But he never left the program or anything, because I thought during media days last year there was a quarterback who was no longer with the program.
I know that's former Texas quarterback Charles Wright. I have not heard anything about him.
Okay.
Since he left.
Interesting. Okay, so I was getting confused. I knew it was a transfer quarterback who someone had a question for at media days, and it was almost like an uncomfortable moment because Clark turns around to the guys and he's like, "Well, he's that that guy's no longer with the program. And I was like, okay, that's just getting awkward in the room for a minute. But there was no explanation. I'm glad to hear it wasn't Billy Wiles. So, yeah, I mean, maybe a leader in the locker room, even if he's not the starting quarterback or something, right? I mean, he's up there with the senior class, even as a redshirt senior. So I don't know. Have you heard about anything about him specifically?
Billy Wiles, he's a smart guy. He's really smart. I mean, this guy can rip it. He's got a lot of velocity in his arm, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in that spring game rip it 40 yards down the field. And he's got a quick processor, which is something that Loggins loves in quarterbacks.
My question is, how do we? You've got 6 quarterbacks in a quarterback room, right? We never had in my time, never had any more than 4. How do we get these guys to play all during the spring game? How do we evaluate who's who of the room? And if there are truly 6 quarterbacks that we're looking at, how many of those do you think stay, right? I mean, there's got to be 2 or 3 that transfer out just for the sake of it being a large quarterback room. I mean, you got to think if these were all 6 running backs, probably 4 of them would get playing time. 4 quarterbacks can't play, That's just not possible. So what are we thinking about the quarterback room in terms of, who might stay, who might – because right now it sounds to me like A.J. Swain, J.J. Cole, and Matthew Wilson are the 3 that are kind of, maybe top. Maybe Billy Wiles might be, in that conversation as well. But it sounds like those 3 or 4 might be the guys. What does that leave Cameron and Noah? What does that look like for them?
I mean, we got 7 quarterbacks, actually. We got just signed another one. His name's Gregory Fee. He just came out of Weddington High School in North Carolina.
Ooh, Weddington.
Okay. Yeah, he's 6'5", 225.
Wow.
But in terms of the question, he, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep all of them either way. I mean, I know JJ Cole got offers to go elsewhere, but he came to App State to compete. All these quarterbacks are going to compete, and I think with the draft-style spring game we're having, I think we're going to see a lot of quarterbacks get some playing time in the spring game. Ultimately, there will be players that will be leaving after spring game because the spring portal is not great, but it'll be a great competition to see these guys play. I mean, we won't know who will start, who will get playing time until spring game.
Yeah. So this is a good question. It seems kind of redundant because we already talked about it, but specifically – and they probably haven't laid this out. I know you talked about them getting the students involved with some competitions and maybe some competitions among players even on the field, but have they laid out like this is going to be a small 4-quarter type game? Is this going to be like 2 halves? Is it going to be offense versus defense? Or are we going to see like more of a traditional kind of look of a game in this spring game? Do you know that? Have you heard anything on that?
I have not heard about the format, but I do know that it'll probably be 2 different teams competing against each other, offense, defense. They've been tight-lipped about a lot of things recently.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's more the traditional sense, right? You put, 2 teams and you kind of mix the starters up, to get the best out of what you're going to be doing. I know when we did it, we had 2 separate teams and we divided, the starters and non-starters, and it was just kind of a mixer. And then there were some times during fall camp where we had a different format, which it was, the ones get, I think it was 30 snaps or 15 or 20 snaps, and the 2s get, I think it was 50 snaps, and then the 3s get 60 to 70 snaps, so we can evaluate what that backup situation looks like. So there's different formats and ways that you can run it. I think the spring game lends itself more to the offense versus defense or 2-team setup. But once you get into that more final scrimmage of camp, then you start to talk about 1s, 2s, and 3s and what that depth chart might look like.
Well, see, I was going into this when everything was changing and we were worried about who was coming and who was going, losing Joey was a concern of mine. Joey was a favorite of mine before he even got the start, right? Going into the season when it was his first one against Berger, I thought he was going to be named the starter. Everything I'd seen on film led me to believe that he was really and truly the guy. And it wasn't because Berger wasn't not good. It was just I hadn't seen anything out of him that I saw in Joey. And so when we lost him to UCLA, obviously, and also Caden, who we'll talk about with the wide receivers here in a second, but was very concerned with what that did to the quarterback room, right? But what Weston's just told us and the insight he's provided and background he's given on a few of these guys, whole lot more confident going into this next season at the quarterback spot, even though we don't even know who it is. I feel comfortable with any of these 3-4 guys we talked about. And honestly, some of these guys that we didn't really talk about as much with Cameron and Noah, I mean, they could be good. They're both young guys. They've got a lot of developing that they could still do, again, with Riley as their coach with some NFL experience. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. DJ, Seth wants to know if you guys played face mask when you played.
leather helmets. Leather helmets, no chin strap.
Oh, man. Real man sport. Man sport there. Well, we won't get to the wide receivers next. That's my apologies there. We're actually going to jump over to the running backs, and very excited personally, on a personal level, that Mr. Kanye Roberts has decided to return to the program. His poster is hanging still in my son's room. And I told Kanye, I sent him a message when he was looking to transfer out, and I said, man, I don't care where you end up. That poster ain't coming down. Really appreciate what you did for the program, and I get to appreciate it even more as he comes back. And Weston, tell us what you think about this running back room, and maybe Kanye specifically to start off with.
So this running back room, I think, is the deepest in the entire team. I mean, Kanye, obviously, he got offers to go elsewhere, but he decided after meeting with Loggins, he's going to stay for foreseeable future. I mean, I was disappointed they didn't give him the ball more last year. I mean, you give him the ball, he can run it. Against ULM, they had over 100 yards, 150 yards actually. Yeah, in 2023, he had 3 100-yard games. He's a talented running back. He can see the field, and he quick cut up the field. It's always a score, honestly. I expect him to be the lead back in this committee.
And that's, those 3 100-yard rush games, those are with a predictable style offense, right? I mean, you line up in, the pistol formation, and you're running zone read right, zone read left. And that was our running game, right? There was no variation to our run game whatsoever. As somebody who, kind of split time at running back and wide receiver, it drove me crazy because I knew on first down we were going to run the ball zone read left or zone read right. And it makes me nuts because we have backs that are capable of doing more, right? Add some variation. Being a fan of Appalachian State and the Dallas Cowboys last year was the most frustrating time of my life because our run games on both teams were the most predictable of anybody that I've seen. And so I think this year, the hope is that we add that sort of variation and we give these guys an opportunity to be more, right? To do more and to showcase their abilities and talents a lot more than they have been in the past. So I'm interested to see. Obviously, you don't want to do away totally with the zone read, right? Zone read is good for what it's for. It allows the back to use his vision, find the hole, get up the gap, and get outside. But you also want to add some traps and some screens and some different kind of things to help to let these guys showcase what their skill and ability is, not just downhill running.
I think the one trait that I would say this running back room all has is speed. I mean, Kanye Roberts, he's running 22 miles an hour in summer workouts. And
That's
you got Jalen Calhoun, who he is the fastest player on this team. He was running at nearly 23 miles an hour summer workouts last year. He only had 1 carry last year, which I was very surprised, honestly. I can't wait to see him get more playing time.
Yeah. I agree with that. That was a name I had heard before the season, actually, in the background, and was pumped up to see him hit the field. I don't think it was a him thing. I don't think really too much it was a Kanye thing. Obviously, blame goes around all the way. It's a team aspect, a team sport. I wasn't really impressed with the O-line last year. Apologies to any of them that may be listening or tuning into this. But that was supposed to be the strength these past 2 seasons, right? A lot of returners, a lot of power up front, a lot of bigger guys than some of the other rosters on the Sunbelt. And I just didn't see, like last year, that first game against ETSU, set the tone, right? Run it down their throats. This is a team that shouldn't compete with you. Prove it. And they didn't do it. And again, I don't put a whole lot of that on the running backs. There was no holes for them to hit that game. Right. So hopefully that is also transitioning here with the O-line room getting stronger and better as well, because these guys need some help because they're all athletes. I mean, I'm hearing stuff about Max Guess and, Weston, I don't want to take too much away from you. You're the expert here, so you're going to tell us a little bit more about at least a handful of these guys. You can start with Jalen Calhoun, since we just mentioned him.
Yeah, Jalen Calhoun, he's got track speed. I mean, he's just a redshirt sophomore, and he has a lot to prove. I mean, he can do a lot of stuff. Yeah, South Georgia. This guy,
Shout
I'm
out to
so excited
Mama.
to see him play.
Yep.
But like you said, going on Max Guest, he's like 5'9" out of AC Reynolds High School. He has a true pass catching ability. I mean, this guy's fast. He can catch it and run it. He played quarterback, so he could do the read option perfectly. I could see him doing that. Then the transfer running backs we got at Tennessee and Arkansas. I mean, I'm so excited to see Khalifa Keith. This guy is 6'1", 240 pounds, and he can run a 4.40. I mean, this guy is he's an athlete, period. Out of high school was a top 50 back. And he only appeared in 16 games in his 2 seasons at Tennessee. And I wish I could see him play more. This running back room is so crowded. It's going to be hard to get all these guys playing time. But I think Khalifa Keith is going to be like the RB2. He's going to be a power back.
Yeah, short yardage, 3rd and 1. And you hate to limit a guy with that kind of ability to just that kind of, but you're talking about Kanye Roberts and Jalen Calhoun. Really what I'd like to see out of Jalen Calhoun is him to kind of line up similar to what I played when I was there, kind of in that slot and halfback sort of position, and get him out on the edge, right? A guy with that kind of speed, let's use him the way he's supposed to be used. Let's get him out on the edge, and let's let Mama celebrate some touchdowns, right? And let's get this run game, man. Let's get some variation to this run game, short sweeps, those kinds of things. Get guys out on the edge. Shout out to Coach John Gaylord. He was my offensive line coach in high school.
Yeah, there you go. You could take that question then. Did the O-line play a part in how the running game was called? Maybe the scheme and strength or lack thereof was a deciding factor. And
yeah, 100%. To me, what I saw, and to echo what you talked about, Dom, earlier, I don't think our offensive line was as strong as it could have been or should have been last year, right? And a lot of what we did, I think, was dictated by how well or not well those guys played up front. And that's, again, I don't mean that disparagingly towards anybody who may be listening, but we weren't a very good football team last year, especially offensively. We just weren't. We didn't have a lot of design, variation and a lot of scheme variation to what we did. And so it was hard for us to be multiple on offense. So I think if we develop that offensive line early enough and we start doing the things that gets these guys, and I think too, what will help that offensive line is variation to the run game in terms of getting these guys out on the edge, right? Imagine how easy it is for me as an offensive tackle, a right tackle, to block if I know that the guy's getting the ball is already in motion, and by the time the ball snaps, he's on outside of my hip. I have to block for a half a second now versus having to hold a block for a zone run or a zone read option for 2 or 3 seconds, right? It's much harder to hold a block that long, especially when you're limited in that space, than it is to get somebody out on the edge. So in terms of scheme, I think we need to, as a coaching staff, help our offensive line if we know that it's an area that needs that type of development. So, I obviously got a lot of ideas in terms of what we can do. I'm nobody's coach, but I do know a little bit about running the football.
Yeah, I'd say you know something. And holding those blocks for 2 or 3 seconds is why we saw some of those offensive penalties last year too, which is something to keep in mind, right? Like, make it, like you said, TJ, make it easier, because it's better all the way around, because of those little intricacies, like how many yardage you're giving away by backing yourself up 5, 10, 15 yards on these penalties are just unnecessary to take in the first place. And thank you to Shauna for joining the stream, man. That's pretty cool to have a player's mom jump on here and make some comments, man. Appreciate that. Tougher on coaching last year. Bet's comment. Yeah. There's a reason there was a change, right? You hate to see it for people's livelihood in one aspect and the team and program in the other, but it looks like it could be a good change to start with, and we'll see where it goes, right?
There comes a time, man, where you've got to shake things up. And when you're not getting the results, listen, I said this to a couple of guys in the group chat that we're in a lot, and this is not taking anything at all from our previous staff. But I think the first few years of their success was predicated on the recruitment that was done before them, right? It was, they lived off of the talent that had already been built in that roster. There was not a lot of character or player development on that roster. We survived because we had transfer guys come in like Joey California, who came in and did a real good job for us a year prior. And then last year we realized, not that he's not good, but that if the offense is stagnant, there's only so much that he can do, right? I mean, we threw the ball. I can't tell you how many times we threw a go route on 3rd and 1. Like, what the hell what are we doing? What is going on? It's 3rd and 1. Why are you running a go route instead of running a slant or something across the middle? I mean, I think it feels like we had maybe 4 different pass plays. We were not multiple in the pass game, nor were we in the run game. And I think that is going to change, especially with these kind of guys that we have in this offensive backfield. And we hadn't gotten to the receiving core yet, which I'm excited to get to as a former receiver. But once we start to get to the place where we can display the athleticism on this football team, I get excited because there's a lot of potential here. We just got to use these guys the right way.
Yeah. And hopefully hold on to most of them. But I think you guys are both realistic. I'm realistic in the fact that there's probably going to be at least 1 or 2 important players that after this spring game are going to get at least offers. I'm not saying they leave, but there's going to be people that are paying attention to this game. They know what app football is about. They understand what this coaching staff is bringing in fundamentally. And there's some of these players were brought in because of this staff. Let's be honest about that. So there's a lot of talent here to farm from, unfortunately. So, we see what other programs and teams canceling spring games around the country. We'll see how it goes for us. But the first and foremost thing is this is the first one we've had in a very long time. It's got a lot of excitement. Like Weston said, they're going to get these students that are actively there and their biggest fan base to pull from, right? Getting them involved in it. I love that idea. I love the fact that it's going to be interactive instead of just here, for example, the year before we played UNC a couple years ago, TJ, was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, 3 years ago, I think.
3 years ago. Well, the one where it was here, I think.
No, that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
I went to their spring game because it was an early season matchup. I thought, I don't know what I'll learn or obtain, but I went to go watch it. It was the most, first of all, we talk about UNC wine and cheese crowd. First of all, absolutely the description that it fits, right? And there's a reason that it's there. I sat there in the crowd and no one cared. There was no energy in the place. Even the team didn't really seem like they were pumped up to be out there in front of a big crowd because there was a good amount of people. Most of a side of the stadium was pretty filled up. But just, I don't know. So to hear that there's going to be a youth movement, excitement, something new for a spring game, that's what you want. I think that people are going to be really entertained by going to that thing. And hopefully, TJ, you get to go. Obviously, Weston will be there. He's going to go Facebook Live and give us all the feed while we're sitting at home, not being able to see it. For those of us in the coaches say Belichick will be watching. Probably.
Yeah. Let's hope he keeps his eyes away from any of the talent that we have on our football team. Listen, as long as Kanye Roberts, Jalen Calhoun, Rashad, and Khalifa stay, listen, and I'm not discounting the talent of anybody else that's on this football team, but those are the 4 guys that I call them my core 4 that I really want to be in this backfield. That's you talk about power and speed. Kanye Roberts has both. You're talking about Jalen Calhoun, who has both, but certainly has a crap ton of speed. He can get him out on the edge. I know I've said it 15 times, but getting him out on the edge, I think is going to make a whale of a difference for us offensively. And then you got guys like Khalifa, like you said, 6'2", 6'3", 240 pounds. These are guys that can take us to the next level from a run game perspective. And quite honestly, we can run 2-back sets, a lot of the time. It's not something that, is a foreign concept. It's been around in football for a very long time. So, and then guys like Jalen Calhoun, maybe he is in a 2-back set and we motion him out into the slot and we get some routes run for him or get some offset run plays and jet motions and those kinds of things. That's what I envision for this offense.
Yeah. Any of these guys, the better pass catching back you can be out of the backfield, I guarantee you in a pro style system that Loggins is going to run, he's going to see you more playing time, right?
100%.
It's the way the program's gone. It's going to be the way college game goes now because it's going to be a mirror image of the pro game. Weston, any guys that we didn't mention or you want to say some more notes on before we move on?
Kamani Alexander and Rashad Divinian, those guys, I think they're going to make some noise with the spring game. Rashad, obviously out of Arkansas, last year, he can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He was the starter at Arkansas. He had a 100-yard game last year. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He had like 3 touchdowns on wheel routes in the end zone. And I think that, bringing that 2-back set that Loggins, he ran that 2-back set last year with Yurchek and Watkins, and it worked against Clemson pretty much. I think that, with Kamani as well, he held some Power 4 offers, but he stuck here. I'm surprised he wasn't in the transfer portal. He's a 3-star prospect at a high school. He averaged 100 yards a game as a high school senior. I think he has a lot to prove, but he can run the ball. I've seen the film. He can run.
Yeah,
makes me feel good, man. I'm getting tingly over here. I love me some black and gold.
Out of a place like Homestead, Florida, I would assume he's got a lot of natural talent that he's running with, like a lot of those guys in that Florida area, man. It just seems like how many guys are not just at App State, just across the board, coming out of Florida and getting college offers to go places because of the talent down there. So
for sure.
Yeah, and locally, I know Max Guess gets a lot of attention too because he's got a lot of fans in that area, and they're all pumped up to be able to see him play kind of locally as well there on the mountain there. Any notes about Ja'Carri Lewis, freshman from – where'd he come in here from? Fort Lauderdale, another Florida guy actually, 5'10", 185.
Yeah, this guy, he averaged 7.2 yards a carry as a senior in his senior year. He can go through contact. He's got great contact balance. But once he sees that edge, he can burst. He's got breakaway speed.
He sounds like speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got Michael. I forgot. I don't even know how to say his name. Michael Discaprel. He's a 3. Yeah, he went out of Wake Forest. He averaged 6.3 yards carry. So these guys, once they reach contact, they can follow through with it. They can reach the end zone with 3 guys on their back, probably.
Nice.
I like to hear that, man. We saw what Kamani Marshall brought to the field towards the end of last season when he was more healthier and running a little bit more strong, I guess you could say. Then I guess he was kind of banged up throughout most of the year. At least it seemed like it, because if not, why wasn't he seeing the field more at the beginning?
Right.
But I mean, that's a guy we're going to miss tremendously. But like you said, with this backfield, with this room, a lot more confident again than we were coming in. We maybe thought we had or we're going to be missing. Wide receivers. All right. There's only 4 guys on the screen, but this room is huge, so we'll probably talk about more than that. But we kind of solidify these guys as possibly or maybe the top 4. Is that right, Weston?
I would say there's you got Dalton, Davion, and Jaden as our top 3. But I also want to talk about Everett Coleman. Let me start with Dalton. Obviously, one of the only holdovers from last year, because a lot of our receiving room transferred out. At 6'4", 205, he is a box-out winner. He can box out anyone, any corner, no matter how tall you are. He's got a huge catch radius. I expect him to be this X receiver at the end of the day. But then you have Davion Dozier right next to him, also at 6'4", 205. I think he's basically Stroman, but faster. He didn't really play too much at Arkansas, but I have high hopes for him. He is a very confident guy. He's got a great work ethic. I know that. He can return the ball. One of the most excited player for me is Jaden Barnes out of Austin Peay. He's 5'8", 165, small guy though. He reminds me a lot about I forgot his name already. He was a receiver. Not Tavon Austin, I wish, but he was an App State receiver 2023. It starts with a D, but he is one of the best receivers in the FCS level last year. He had over 1,000 yards and 58 catches last year. I mean, this guy, when he gets the ball, he'll make you miss and go upfield, and he goes 0-60 in 2 seconds. I mean, I am so excited to see him play. He's definitely going to be the slot guy that can go take the end around or go deep ball. He'll beat anyone that's on him.
At 5'8", he sounds like a guy I used to know. He wore number 12 back in 2007.
You might have heard of him.
No big deal.
Oh, man. Yeah, but I mean, the other thing, too, is Austin Peay. I mean, some people maybe don't know this or haven't been paying full attention to the FCS level where they play at. This isn't a D2 team. This isn't a D3 team. there's still a lot of talented guys on that field, as TJ can attest to when he played at that level. But they're not only talented, Austin Peay is one of the better teams. So if he's doing that, they're also in one of the better conferences where he's getting that done at. So that's not, those stats, and you go, well, he didn't play at the highest level of D1. Well, I bet you, like Weston said, he's going to be a guy who's going to get some stuff done. He's going to electrify the field a little bit because he's going to be able to do plenty at this level as well. So I am very excited to see Jaden Barnes as well. So you had a nickname that you've heard of for Edward Coleman here. So what's that nickname? Tell us more about this guy.
Yeah, Edward Dupa Coleman. Now this guy, I don't know the nicknames from, but this guy, he came coming out of Calvary Day High School in Georgia. I have high hopes for this guy. He had Power 4 offers from Bama, Arkansas, Cincinnati, Georgia Southern. I don't know what recruiting magic Loggins did to flip him basically, because he went to Georgia Southern the week before we offered him. And in one offer, one visit, he committed. He's the highest rated recruit in this class, in the 2025 class. His highlight tape is unreal. He can make guys miss. He can high point the ball. He can pretty much do everything at only 5'10", 194. He's got exciting potential, especially in this group.
Yeah, nice. I know we really got under the skin of Georgia Southern fans with that one. They were locked and ready to accept him into the family. And right before they did, App State comes in and scoops him away. Man, that's just more heat to the rivalry, right, TJ?
For sure. And listen, it doesn't get more heated to me than hate for Georgia Southern. So anything we can do to spoil their plans or foil anything they have going on, I'm all for it. And I don't care what sport it's in. It could be golf. Beat them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after they got Brandon Harrington as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a little switch there that you just mentioned. I did not see that one coming. And I have a feeling a little bit of that is, and I don't know even if you have knowledge whether you would share it or not, but I feel like there's got to be some kind of juice there, that there's a reason he ended up there over other programs that he probably also could have gone to. And we'll see if that plays a big part. I don't know. You more than welcome to say anything you do know or will want to share, but I don't know any background information.
So obviously he was committed to play to App State again for his final year, and then quickly deleted the post, I'd say a day afterwards. And then you had DJ Smith on the podcast here, and I asked a question about him, and DJ Smith would welcome him back with open arms. And then I think the next day, his agents told On3 that he was visiting Georgia Southern. And I honestly do not know if he got any other offers, because as a 25-year-old linebacker with injury history, I don't know how many offers he would have gotten.
Right.
Good point. Fair point. Yeah, I feel like somewhere, somehow, talks broke down somewhere, and now it's a revenge tour for him. We'll see if that's true. Again, that's me putting words in other people's mouths and places that I don't have this. I'm not saying this from a point of actual knowledge. I'm just kind of assuming a couple things. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, it did suck to lose a guy to Georgia Southern, so it was nice to at least get one back indirectly, I guess. Is there some other wide receivers not shown here on screen that you had some specific notes on?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about all these guys, but some guys I'll talk about. We got a receiver from Boise State named Jackson Greer. Okay. You might know the last name. His father is the GM for the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, so he's got some NFL ties there. He didn't get really much playing time. His brother played at South Carolina, so I'm assuming some Loggins connections right there.
Yep.
One player I do want to talk about is Zon Coakley, son of Dexter Coakley. Has not played at all in his college career, but I expect him to get some playing time this year.
And this is that receiver?
Yeah, yep. Receiver, Zon Coakley.
Zon Coakley, okay. I have to give him a look.
One guy I'm super excited to see is Franklin Barrett Jr. at 6'4", 200, running sub 4.40.
Wow.
I mean, jeez. I don't know how he didn't get any playing time last year. He can return the ball. I mean, he had a lot of returning touchdowns. I haven't got to all these films, but this receiving group has a lot of potential to have a lot of size, speed, and just playmaking ability on the field.
Sounds like it. I can't wait. I mean, I didn't get a new enough gaming system to play NCAA 25, but I can't wait to get the new one and play with these guys, man. This is a roster that just seems like it's loaded. And again, hopefully we can hold on to just about all of them. I think being a realism, again, we probably not, but for the vast majority, I hope we do get to keep them around and they have a good time up here on that spring game and they don't want to leave. So Weston, be sure to get all your friends up there to go to that thing and just make it one hell of a party. And then just refuse to leave this place.
For sure.
So we'll go away from the graphics because, again, there's a lot of position groups we can't list and show every single one of them. With all of them wouldn't fit on screen. I get the O and D linemen on here, and I'd have to make them look skinny in order to get them all on this the graphics. But I'm sure there's some other players, Weston, that you might have some other notes on as well that you may be excited or intrigued about. Because I know with the line play, it's not necessarily excitement, but maybe something that about some other guys as well.
Okay, so for an offensive lineman that I'm really excited about to see is Will Flowers out of Valdosta State. This guy was an All-American at the FCS level. I mean, this guy he had 40 pancakes last year.
Jesus
he can put
Christ.
people in the dirt. He's 6'3", 285. He used to be at ETSU. And a fun fact about him, he batted 406 in high school. So this guy is athletic. This guy can get out in space, and he can block anyone in his way.
Is he guard or tackle?
He's a center.
Center.
Oh, wow.
Okay. At 6'3", 285? It's pretty good size.
Yeah, that's a good size center for App. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed about what Loggins has brought in is size. I mean, these guys are huge. I mean, you're talking about some of the freshmen we just brought in. We've got Big Al Oliver. I mean, out of North Carolina. He's 6'5", 295, and he's played running back. He's going to play tackle for us. So
he's an athlete.
Yeah, very. Some other guys. I mean, you got the kid from USC. He's 6'7", 340. We brought in last year. He never played on offense, I'm pretty sure. He mainly appeared on special teams, which I'm surprised. And then one player I'm excited to see he was out of Louisville last year. 6'8", 315 pounds. He's got 3 years left. I mean, Luke Burgess. He's going to be a great tackle for us. I mean, I got Jaden Ramsey at 6'6", 300.
I remember watching film on Jaden Ramsey when he was coming out, and I was like, this is my dude right here. He plays – you always want a guy that's strong and powerful. Great, yeah. This guy plays violently. Man, he doesn't just get guys on the ground. He drives them, continues to drive them. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to see.
That's called attitude. Yeah, you want somebody to play. You want your O-lineman. We call them big nasties for a reason, right? Like you want them to be mean. You want them to be, just ugly on the field. I mean, they got to have that kind of an attitude. I've never met an offensive lineman that was nice, that was any good. So
yeah. I mean, Jaden Ramsey. I mean, what can you say? What else can you say about him? He finds his way on the line no matter what. I mean, he played tackle, guard, center for us last year. He played a lot of snaps. I mean, the other guard I think that's going to start for us is going to be Griffin Scroggs. He came out of Georgia, and he actually was starting for Georgia center in the 2023 spring game. I'm pretty sure. He's 6'3", 325. Started 5 games last year for us. I have high hopes, so he'll be like a monster in the middle.
Yeah, we need that after what we've seen these past 2 years. I mean, I know we've had some talented guys. We had one or two make some NFL teams and whatnot, but it just didn't all come together for whatever reason. So hopefully it gets a little bit better. Sorry, go back to what you were saying, Weston.
One of the things I noticed when I was going through the whole roster is about how little playing experience a lot of these guys have. I mean, over 50% of this roster hasn't seen the collegiate field.
Yeah.
And I think that with playing time, obviously they're gonna make some people taste some grass at Kid Brewer. So I think it's gonna be a great sight to see all these linemen.
To that point, it's hard to scout guys that you haven't seen before, right? If 50% of the roster hasn't played, what are these coaches scouting against? So that's one of the things that Coach Loggins has in his back pocket. And another thing about that too is they haven't learned anything the wrong way yet. When you got guys that have little playing experience, again, now out of that 50%, you might get 25 to 30% that are absolute just dogs, right? But those are dogs that the rest of the college conference hasn't seen. So, and they also haven't learned any bad techniques, and they don't know the wrong way to play football because they haven't really played yet. So, there's some positives to guys who we have not seen play football yet.
Yeah. I think you saw that very specifically with James Madison, right? They came into this conference. We didn't have a lot of familiarity, a lot of film on them. Year two was still pretty good for them, but then you saw what Coach Signetti did up in Indiana, surprising the hell out of the Big Ten with what he was able to accomplish. And obviously, there was a couple teams that knocked him down a peg, but throughout most of the season, they didn't know. People didn't know what he was going to be throwing at him, and it was obviously a massive benefit to him and the IU football team. So, yeah, hopefully we've got some type of aspect of our game that will replicate some of those early season successes.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, this roster is like stacked with talent that hasn't been used yet, and like a lot of these guys have 4 or 3 years left, and it's going to be a great 4 to 3 years if they're all staying. But yeah, this offensive line. I mean, one guy I want to mention that's deep in the depth chart is Gabe Funk. He's 6'6", 305. He hasn't appeared in any games yet, but he can play tackle, guard, center. I'm excited to see him play.
I feel like I recognize that name. I don't remember if he was from this area of the state where I'm at or not. Do you have that in front of you? I'm trying to find it right now, but I can't. Oh, here we go. Nope, I'm way off. He's from Ohio. Never mind. There was a guy though that was from the area that I was like, oh yeah, he's not far from here, but I don't know. Maybe that was a year or two. Oh, okay. Jake Gano, Panther Creek, Cary, North Carolina, which is like kind of in between TJ and I guess, for lack of better description there. But yeah. Anyway, was there some other guys besides the O lineman too that you had some interest in?
Let me look at the defense. I mean, you got the linebacker I am obsessed with that hasn't seen much playing time is Ryan McInnes. I mean, this is a guy that almost got me in trouble because I wanted to share his practice tape. I mean, this guy he's 6'2", 225. He's one of the fastest guys on our team, and he has hit stick material. I mean, I posted a practice clip of him, and he just decked it was either Aguilar or Wiles to the ground off the edge on a blitz. He only appeared in 6 games last year, mainly in special teams. I honestly think he's going to be like one of the top 4 linebackers that DJ Smith is going to use.
Nice. And that's so to that point, DJ and I talked a lot. We texted a little bit as well about speed, right? And DJ was one of the faster linebackers that we've had. DJ ran a 4.40, and DJ was, I think, 6 foot, 6'1", well, maybe 5'10", 5'11", and 235 pounds and running a 4.34 or 4.40. So speed at the linebacker position is something that he is accustomed to and knows about and knows how to use it. So that excites me.
Another linebacker, Darrell Farrar. I mean, he finds his way to hit someone. In 2 games, he had 20 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 1 sack. Sadly, he got injured for most of the year, but he can hit someone. Some other players that I am excited to see. I mean, DJ Burks last year, he was the second on team as a tackling, as a safety, which is not the best thing when your safety is the second on the team leading in tackles.
Sure. But it doesn't hurt to have somebody that's willing to.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit someone. He had 3 TFLs, 14 tackles against South Alabama alone. He appeared in all 11 games, starting 7 of them. He's got safeties, flexibility, strong and free. One player that got injured that I was surprised was back was Miles Farmer at his safety. I mean, because he had a Syracuse last year with 1 year left. I thought he was gone because he played 3 games, but I guess he got the medical waiver.
Yeah, he's listed as a 7th year redshirt senior. You won't see that a lot more often, I feel like, but he is one of the 7th year guys, probably one of those years being a COVID year.
That's insane. 7 years. Imagine giving me 7 years to play football. I don't even know if I want to play football for 7 years.
Right? Yeah.
It's almost like the ECU punter. The ECU punter last year was near 40 years old.
Yeah. I mean, what is going on?
What's wrong with being almost 40, Weston? Come on, man.
Right. Come on now. Be 39 this year. Relax.
Watch your tone, young man. Watch your tone there. Oh man, yeah. No, this is. I don't want to interrupt if you got a couple more guys or anything, but what do you?
I mean, I got.
Awesome.
I'll do one. I'll do one or two. I mean,
Okay.
we just signed a 5-star kicker, Dominic DeFreitas. He holds
Good
out of
name.
Indiana. He holds the state record for field goal at 62 yards. So this guy can kick it. And yeah, he was one of the late signers for this class. And then the last guy I'll mention is going to be you can't talk about this without talking about Thomas Davis. I mean,
Yeah.
last year he appeared in all 11 games, 36 tackles, 3 sacks. He is a dog. He literally played the dog position, is what he's listed at last year. I mean, along with him and Kevin Verwain, he was a team captain last year, tore his Achilles midway through the year. And through those 4 games, 9 tackles, half a sack, 1 TFL. He's got a lot left in his tank. I think he's gonna shine. He's gonna be a captain again this year, I think.
Yeah, I was devastated when he got injured last year, man, because I thought the same thing. He was obvious. When he played, you could tell it was him. Take the number. I know we don't really have the names on the back of the jersey. Well,
yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, never mind. But take all that information off the jersey, and you still knew it was him playing, right?
Yeah, you knew what. Yeah.
Not a ton of guys on the football field that you can say that about, especially defensively, I feel like. So that was a big loss, and it'd be great to have him back, man. But this has been phenomenal stuff, man. You are a wealth of knowledge. Keep doing what you're doing. I know we definitely appreciate it. I know there's plenty of other people that have been seeing your stuff, liking it, retweeting it. If you're an App fan, you absolutely need to follow his account if you want to stay up to date. And you might even be overwhelmed and wonder how Weston does it, because that's what I do sometimes. I'm like, does this guy sleep, or is he just always on? Because you think you got to find some time to recuperate. But are you also going to take in the first game now that it's moved to Charlotte on a Friday?
I hope so. I mean, the student tickets are going to be cheap, so we'll see if I can get to Charlotte safely without missing anything.
There you go. And you probably already saw this too, but there is a tweet out there. Schedule release is expected on Friday. So
yes.
Again, that's not going to come with any times. We all are now used to that. As that flex scheduling continues to be a part of college football, that they're going to do those times, 2 to 3 weeks out at the most. But there will be a schedule. We will know when every team plays each other within just 48 hours time, roughly, or less, actually, I guess.
Yeah, and I've seen a little bit of the schedule release video that's going to come out soon, and I think it's going to be great.
Nice. Can you give us anything without getting in trouble on that?
Well, it is posted by the Watauga County Public Schools. I mean, they were talking about they made kids draw all the logos for the sunbelt teams and the teams we're playing this year. I think the best one is one of the Oregon State papers.
Nice.
Okay. Nice. Oh, that has a question on edge rushing. You got anybody that's standing out on edge rushing real quick?
I mean, yeah, I can talk a load of everyone here.
You got notes for it all.
Sean Collins. I mean, he entered the transfer portal. He came back. He's going to be a leader on this team. This guy has the clutch gene, is in what I'll say. 16 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, if you watched the JMU game last year, we didn't win the game without him.
Yeah.
He makes plays when they're needed. And I think that he is going to be one of our best players on the line this year. I mean, and then you got guys like Joseph Backhole that we picked up out of Chattanooga, Aiden Benton out of GMC, that pipeline.
Nice.
And AJ Mebane. Yeah, I didn't get too much playing time last year, but he had 40 sacks in 3 years of high school. I mean, this guy can tackle the quarterback.
Good God. 40 sacks in 3 years? That's incredible. That is incredible.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so it looks like we've got a really well-rounded roster. Like I said, that's something that I am very happy to report and learn more about tonight specifically, and just be more excited about in general. I hope that something happens in my schedule where I'm able to make that spring game. If I do, it sounds like, TJ, you might be going up there. Weston, we'll all have to get together and meet up there, but I'll have to keep you guys in the loop on that. little kid's birthday might take precedent. And I'm like, man, I've been waiting years for this to happen. And then the one time it's going to happen, it's going to be the weekend I can't do it. But
the only thing that's holding me up is we got flag football that weekend. And, I'm coaching. And so I won't be able to make there's a 6:00 alumni dinner Friday night. So I wouldn't be able to make that. But I'd have to leave immediately after the football game. We play at 9 a.m. And so I have to leave immediately after our game and just go straight to Boone. So I got to see how that works out.
Do you need me to lend you the Syndicate plane or chopper?
I might need it. Yeah, I might need it.
All right. Well, I'll ask the pilot if he's going to be ready to roll for you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got a big enough backyard he can land it in.
There you go. Oh man. Weston, any last thoughts or comments you want to share with us before we get out of here tonight?
I mean, show up April 12th at 1 p.m. Maybe show up earlier for 10 a.m. so you get the pregame fest. I mean, you're going to get team autographs, DJs. There's a kids area as well. I know other people having birthdays for their kids at the game. Nice. So I think it's going to be a great environment, great day. You're going to see a lot of alumni there. So
hopefully myself included.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. And it was app heavy this week. We will do this for any team with people that have interest. I will be reaching out now that we've got one of these done. And Weston, give us a good example to go share with others because I'd love to be able to kind of get into this. We did a 3-hour long show last year where we did all the teams on one stream. It was crazy. It was a fun episode, but it was a lot. Yeah. I think breaking it up by team allows us to get more intricate into it and learn more and take our time a little bit. So I'm going to see and go about it this direction this year. And again, thank you to Weston for all his expertise and thoughts he's shared with us tonight. And we will see you guys next time.